Hello and welcome to my review of the Krios Venator for Mechanicum for Warhammer the Horus Heresy. It can also be built as a Krios battle tank, or can be built as a Krios irradiator. Not radiator, irradiator. Now, one of these tanks will cost you £45 and consists of 138 plastic components. It's worth noting that you can still pick up the Mechanicum heavy support force as shown in the background for I think £110. So for £65 you're getting the Karaknos in the set, which is £65, and you're getting the Thanatar Calyx Siege Automata. So in a way you're getting the Thanatar for free, which is a £63 mini. So if you don't have this box set and you have a Mechanicum army, or you want to add to your existing one, definitely worth picking up. Whether it's worth picking up two of these is, yeah, debatable, because it's going to be rare that you're going to be able to field two Thanatars or even two Karaknos in sort of standard games. But you're definitely going to be wanting to field more Krios or Venators or Irradiator tanks. Now, the format of this review is as usual. I'll have a look at the Venator up close. I'll go through some of the challenges I had and some of the wins of building it. Then I'll go through the spare parts, of which you're pretty much going to get the spare parts for the Krios battle tank and the Irradiator. We'll then take a look at some size comparisons. I'll give you some size comparisons with other Mechanicum units, as well as other Horus Heresy units like Space Marines. Then at the end, I'll go through all of its rules. I'll be using the rules in the Martian Civil War book right here, but fear not, you don't really need this book for the rules. You can make do with the normal Liber Mechanicum book that I think came out in, I want to say 2022. Has it really been 3 years since Horus Heresy has been out in plastic? That's crazy. But the only difference between the Liber Mechanicum and the Martian Civil War book is the Martian Civil War has rules for the new variant, the Irradiator. So without further ado, let's have a look at the Mini up close. It's a nice tank. It fits Mechanicum very, very well. It's just a joy to have in plastic. It really is. You know, you've got this main gun here, which is called the Pulsar Fusel. It looks different than your typical Pulsar Fusel weapons. It looks more like an artillery cannon rather than like a high intensity beam weapon, but there we go. And you also have the Volkite calivers. They are optional. They really are optional. You don't have to take them. I really like the look of this tank. I think it fits very well with the Triaros and the Karaknos. I like these energy field defences there, and these Volkite calivers. The main gun there can move up and down. I think that's very, very cool, and it's a nice friction, so you can have it like firing in an elevated firing arc, but you can also have it just central, and it doesn't sort of drop. It's not heavy enough to drop. There's more weight on the back almost, but it's well balanced, and I hope that you could do this with the lightning cannon as well, yeah, that alone makes me want to buy multiple of these. The fact that you can pose this main weapon. The tracks are typical. Of course, you're getting less tracks than your normal Karaknos and Triaros. There are sort of subsections to this. There's the tracks and the sides. There's the main weapon, and then there's this sort of firer or weapons operator, and then there's the side sponsons. This tank, and I would actually say that these cogs here are their own section, because these are an absolute pain to clean up in between each one of these teeth of the cog. there's mold lines, and yeah, they will take you a long time to clean up. That's the part that took me the longest, longer than the tracks even, I think. Trucks aren't too bad to clean up. But yeah, this tank will still take you longer than you expect to clean up. It's deserving of cleaning up though, because you're definitely going to notice like the mold lines and the join lines in some of the areas. But yeah, nice looking tank, works well with Mechanicum. What I will say is these sponsons are very, very tricky. I like what they've done in the sort of aesthetics of looking like these Volkite are hovering in between these, but from a build point of view, they're an absolute pain. And I don't know if you guys have had the same issues as I have, but it only connects there, which is a bit of a pain, and then these areas connect on these cylinders, which only glued the tip to the supports. So they move, but they are so tricky to get right. You have to be very, very careful with your glue. And I, for one, would have preferred standard sponsons on tanks where literally the gun is just joined from top to bottom. There's no real benefit for having it look like this other than its looks, because it's not like the weapon can move up and down. It's perceived that it can, you know, traverse, but then again, you know, sponsons on other Horus Heresy tanks like Land Raiders and things like that, they can move up and down and rotate a bit. And also it's quite poor design that the caliber can't fire full 180. It can only fire sort of 90 degrees, and then that's it. What's the tank meant to do then? It's supposed to be like a point defense weapon, but it can't fire in reverse. Yeah, not a very good design. I think they could have shortened this barrel, maybe. They could have incorporated it with wires at the top and the bottom, possibly, rather than have the whole ammunition is on the weapon. I just think it's poor that you can't move it all the way around. That the gun takes up so much room, and you can't move it up and you can't change the firing angle. So yeah, that's my only gripe really, that and the cogs. This one I completely messed up, and I think the amount of glue I used must have glued this cylinder on. So I had to have a workaround where the cylinder, where the plug is glued into the cylinder, but the support is not glued into the cylinder. So it's just the support that rotates freely in the cylinder there. Yeah, bit of a workaround that. But other than the sponsons, I think it's a cool looking mini, and yeah, works very well. Spare parts then, they are right here, and as you'd expect, these are just the parts for the lightning cannon, which I think goes something like that. It's not going to fit in there fully, but it's a big long weapon. Lightning cannon is fantastic. And then you've got this, which is part of the irradiator. I don't quite know where the other side of this has gone, but yeah, I think the irradiator would have this on the front of it. That probably goes like that, and then these go there. I think these just they would fit around it, and then you've got the shielding as well. I think this is the shielding for the lightning cannon though. So yeah, you get some spare parts there. Not quite sure if you could use them, but there you go. And then size comparisons. I'll give you a size comparison with some smaller minis first of all. So I have a tech thrall. That's where a tech thrall stands next to the Krios. Something a bit bigger, the Thalax. A Castellax. So Castellax is still not quite as tall, but getting there. It's going to be a similar kind of height to a Castellax. We've got the Tech Priest, which of course is well, smaller. So it's a good, I'd say small, almost medium-sized tank. Then, speaking of tanks, we also have the Triaros, which is going to be the same size as a Karachnos. So much bigger in scope and everything. It's much bigger vehicle. And then probably one of the biggest minis I have for Mechanicum, not including the Knights and the Titans, is the Thanatar. So Thanatar, yeah, is going to be the sort of tallest model. And that's kind of what this set will look like once they're all built. You know, you'll have the Calyx pattern Thanatar, you have the Krios, and you'll have the Karachnos eventually. So that's what you're getting for the kind of £110. A nice buff to the force. Compared to some Horus Heresy minis, so I do have a couple of Space Marines, so Mark III and Mark VI. That's where they stand. Have a Predator. So Predator is smaller, probably not. The Predator is the same width, but then the sponsons make it bigger. And worth noting that the sponsons, yeah, they have less of a movement side to side, but at least they can, you know, traverse. So, you know, going back to my earlier point about, oh, well, the Krios's sponsons can only go 90 degrees. Case in point, the Predators can't even go 90 degrees. So there's that. And the main gun of the Predator can't traverse nowhere near as much as an angle as the Krios. But compared to the Sakaran, which is what I kind of thought it would be size-wise, it's smaller than a Sakaran. Definitely in terms of width and length, but only just. It's only a little bit longer, but there's definitely more presence with the Sakaran than the Krios. But I was expecting the Krios to be similar size to the Sakaran, but in reality, it's more akin to a Predator. And then we have the Big Daddy himself, a Land Raider Spartan, which, yeah, I wouldn't say dwarfs it, but certainly is much bigger, but certainly has way more presence. Probably about twice the size or so. Yeah, that image there just shows you how big the Sakaran is compared to the Land Raider. Hope those size comparisons have helped. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Krios Venator. As I say, you'll find it in your Liber Mechanicum Forces of the Omnissiah Army book or your Martian Civil War book. You'll find it in the heavy support section, of course, and one of these will cost you 125 points. The stat line for all of the Krios tanks are the same. So they have a movement of 16 inches, very fast, ballistic skill 4, front armor is 13, side is 12, and rear is 10, and hull points 4. Pretty straightforward. The war gear, you've got a pulsar fusel for the Krios Venator. You can have a mounted lightning cannon for the Krios battle tank, or a mounted irradiation blaster for the Irradiator. And it also has searchlights. The unit type is a vehicle fast, and special rules galvanic traction drive, and it will not die 6+. A Krios squadron may include up to 2 additional Krios battle tanks for 125 points per model. Now, I don't know whether that means that you can have 3 Venators in one squadron, or 3 Irradiators, or just 3 battle tanks. I'm going to read it as you can have 3 of any kind in a unit, and you can mix and match them. Any Krios battle tank in the squadron may be replaced with a Krios Venator at plus 25 points, so that means that this tank is actually 150, or a Krios Irradiator, which is plus 40 points. Now, I don't know whether that's worth it, because then you're paying 165 points there for a vehicle that has 4 hull points. Any model in squadron may take any of the following options: up to 2 hull-mounted hunter-killer missiles, which is just crazy that you can have 2. They're 5 points each, probably worth doing. And then 2 centerline mounted Volkite calibers at plus 30 points per model. So again, you don't have to take those Volkite if you really don't want to. There's no like holes for them to. There's no holes for the sponsons to go onto or anything like that, so the model isn't going to look like it's missing anything if you don't have them on. They are just Volkite calibers at the end of the day, which are range 30 inches, strength 6, AP 5, heavy 3, deflag rate. So, you know, you are missing out on, you know, 6 strength 6 shots at 30 inch. But the pulsar fusil, which falls under the umbrella of a las, photon and pulsar weapon category, is a 36 inch range, strength 9, AP 2, ordnance 4, pinning. So yeah, it's nice to have that point defense on the tank, but the tank is primarily going to be focused on vehicles. I mean, you can fire it at some Terminators or heavily armoured units, you know, because you're getting 4 shots, you know, at AP2. But I would probably say it's best off just shooting at vehicles, because you're getting those, you know. The only downside is you're going to have to get into range, of course, and it's an ordnance weapon, but you shouldn't have too much difficulty getting into range because it's a 16 inch movement, so you've got an effective range there of 52 inches. It's worth me talking about the standard Krios battle tank, which mounts that lightning cannon. This is the same lightning cannon that is on a Questoris Knight Megaera, which would cost you 385 points. Of course, that one is a bit more survivable because it has 7 hull points and a rear armour of 12. But nonetheless, same weapon, but for much cheaper points, like 3 times the amount cheaper to get this lightning cannon. It's a 36 inch range, strength 7, AP 3, heavy 1, large blast 5 inches, rending 4+, shred, and exoshock 4+. Now, rules wise, that's better than the Venator, than this pulsar fusil, and it's definitely the weapon of choice to go against Space Marines. You don't have to go for those Volkite calibers, as I mentioned earlier. You know, just having 3 Krios battle tanks with the lightning cannons, it is going to be quite scary against the Space Marine force, unless they've got lots of transports or they don't have like many Space Marines out on the field. But yeah, facing just one lightning cannon with the AP3 that's going to insta-kill your Space Marines at a decent strength of 7, and it's the 5 inch blast. This is the thing, it's like an ordnance blast marker. It's the big blast marker that's got that rending 4+ as well. So yeah, the lightning cannon is definitely the scarier of the two, I think. You know, 4 shots at strength 9 is nice, but the lightning cannon, where you could probably get almost 10 minis under that marker. Yeah, having 3 of them would be, yeah, a scary prospect. And remember, you can have 3 of them for the same price as a Knight Megaera. And that then means that you've got 12 hull points instead of the 7 that the Knight has. And these are going to be faster. The final weapon that you can equip the Krios with is the Irradiation Blaster. It's a rad weapon, and it has 2 profiles. You've got the Focused and Dispersed. With Focused, it's a short 16 inch range, strength 7, AP 3, heavy 1, Fleshbane, Radphage, Radiation Beam. So it's got a Radiation Beam special rule. We'll talk about that in a moment. Dispersed is Hellstorm, so that's the very big flamer template, but it's not a torrent. So you have to measure that big flame template from the end, from the tip. That's a strength 2, it's AP 5, it's heavy 1, Fleshbane and Radphage. Okay, so it's odd. So that doesn't have the Radiation Beam special rule. But anyway, that rule has 4 separate bullet points. Essentially, when the weapon profile with this special rule is used to make a shooting attack, draw an imaginary 1mm wide line from the end of the gun barrel to the listed range of the weapon. This is the beam area, the initial target for the weapon. The model in the beam area closest to the attacking model must be an enemy model. All models, friendly and enemy, caught in the beam area, except for the firing model, suffer a hit with the listed profile of the weapon. except models with the flyer subtype, which cannot be affected or targeted. Units with any models in the beam area receive a number of hits equal to the number of their models caught in the path of the beam. Casualties are removed from affected units using the normal rules for removing casualties. If a terrain piece, building model with the vehicle unit type, or any model with 6 or more starting wounds is in the beam area, the attack is blocked and its line of sight will go no further than the model. The blocking model will, however, suffer D3 separate hits rather than just one. If a model with the vehicle subtype If a model with a vehicle unit subtype and transport subtype suffers a penetrating hit from a weapon with this special rule, don't know how that's going to happen with strength 7. Each unit embarked on it suffers D6 strength 2 AP hits, D6 strength 2 AP nothing hits with fleshbane special rule in addition to any other effects. Any wounds caused are allocated by the target's unit's controlling player. So yeah, that's a bit of a mouthful, which is an understatement for a weapon that is only 16-inch range, you know, and has the same strength and AP as a lightning cannon. You're better off just getting the lightning cannon, having that 36-inch range, have an extra 20 inches, and firing off those 5-inch, you know, blast markers. Yeah, it sounds fun on paper. Well, I say it sounds fun on paper. There's a lot to read about it, and 16 inches, it isn't that far for a beam weapon. It's not like a, you know, the it's not like the macro Seika or a Volkite, the Volkite Cannonade or something on the Legion Glaive, where, or even the Asterius's conversion beam weapons. It's a 16-inch range beam weapon at the end of the day, guys. But yeah, they've got this crazy kind of technology, and it is AP3. So if you're, you know, if you're staring down the barrel of, you know, 2 or 3 squads of Space Marines that are directly in front of your Krios tank, then your opponent's done something terribly wrong. But it is possible with the 16-inch movement to get into position with the tank. Then yeah, it's going to do a fair amount of damage, because as it says, units with any models receive the number of hits equal to the number of models caught in the path of the beam. So the thing is, that beam is an imaginary 1 millimeter wide line, which is very, very thin. Having the number of attacks equal to the models caught just adds more and more hits, and kind of really reinforces the fact that most of those things caught in that line are just going to die, really. But as I said, at strength 7 AP3 anyway, that's likely going to happen. But Mini, you might have some units that have invulnerable saves and things. And that is the end of my review of the Krios Venator, and I shoehorned in some talking points about the other Krios variants. I think it's a cool looking tank. It'll take you longer than you expect to build. I think £45 is all right. You know, it would have been nice for 40, considering that you can't really hot swap those weapons. I think if I was designing this from afresh, I would have changed the sponsons so that you can attach them or take them off at will. And I also would have designed the gun so that you can hot swap the different variants, and that would have made it a must model for the collection. But as it stands, it's nice to get a you know, proper tank, really, for Mechanicum. And as I've said before, I can't wait to see what else they bring out for the army. What do you guys think of the Krios battle tank? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'd be good to hear from you. Thank you for watching. The Omnissiah protects.